You can't see it. You probably don't feel it. Yet it is one of the major health threats to the Black community: high blood pressure. Nearly 45% of Black adults in the U.S. have this condition, one of the highest rates worldwide. High blood pressure takes too many lives too early. It's time to take action.
High blood pressure is the silent killer, and it can kill you.
With the help of football great Roy Jefferson, leading medical experts, and people who are successfully managing their high blood pressure, this program will help you take charge too.
Yes.
Roy Lee Jefferson is still going strong, 4 decades after he helped the Colts win a Super Bowl. Roy takes care of his health so he can be an active granddad.
Life is just too good not to go through it feeling good, you know.
But when Roy and his wife Candy look at family photographs, they realize they've lost a lot of loved ones too soon. The reason? High blood pressure or hypertension.
My mom fought hypertension, her whole life. All of her siblings, those who have passed and the 2 that have not passed, they all have hypertension, and they all have the problem, and it just ran in the family.
Like the Jeffersons, chances are you know someone who has high blood pressure. Perhaps it has taken a tragic toll on your family as well.
Especially for African Americans, it is one of the worst killers of our race.
For Marilyn, that message hit home in one terrible week many years ago.
My mom had high blood pressure and she died of a heart attack. My brother, which we did not know, had heart problems. He was 28 years old. He died 5 days after my mom. I buried my mother on Thursday, my brother on the following Saturday.
Why is high blood pressure such a threat to Black Americans? Black adults are more likely than other racial groups to have diabetes. And Black women are more likely than white women to be overweight. Both of these factors raise the risk for high blood pressure. Studies also show that Black people eat foods that are less healthy and tend to exercise less than other racial groups.
Some of the reasons are social reasons, in that patients may not think seriously about their blood pressure, they can't feel it, so they may not realize that it's causing issues or causing problems with their bodies. They may go to their doctors later in the stage of high blood pressure where there's already damage to the heart.
And there's a belief sometimes out there that once you have a major illness like a heart attack, that's it. It's over. It's just time to pass on. But that's really not the case, and I think it's important that people recognize that. Education empowers.
So this program is a call to action, to learn all we can about this threat to the Black community, and what we can do to manage high blood pressure and lead healthier, longer lives.
All right. I get 132/70. That's very good today.
Oh, okay.
Well, you want to stay healthy for yourself first, and then for your family.
Yvette is a nurse, so she knows exactly why she needs to get her blood pressure under control. Blood pressure is the force of blood pushing against the walls of your blood vessels as the heart pumps. In a healthy person, blood flows freely through the vessels. But if blood vessels become narrower, blood pressure rises. Over time, having high blood pressure can hurt your body in many ways.
You may not feel anything, but it damages the organs. It can damage the heart, the brain, the kidneys, the eyes, even your extremities.
Your heart may enlarge and weaken because it has to work harder to pump your blood. Your blood vessels may develop bulges and weak spots, making them more likely to leak or tear. Reduced blood flow can also lead to a heart attack or stroke.
The stroke is sort of like a heart attack of the brain, where either you can bleed into your brain or you can have a clot that goes to the brain that ends up causing the brain to malfunction.
High blood pressure can lead to kidney failure, where you need either a transplant to survive or regular treatments called dialysis.
A large number of African American patients with high blood pressure end up on dialysis. What this is you have to go to a center 3 times a week to have your blood be cleaned. The kidneys are no longer able to perform their duties of cleansing the bodies of toxins or poisons.
The tiny blood vessels in your eyes may be damaged, leading to vision loss or blindness. The consequences are indeed serious, but they can be prevented.
We live in an incredible age. There is a lot we can do.
Most of the time, no single cause of high blood pressure is found. That's because this disease is influenced by many factors, starting with the genes you inherit from your parents.
If there's a family history of high blood pressure, then you may also inherit that.
Along with family history of high blood pressure, other risk factors include what you eat, how much you weigh, whether you get regular exercise, and other conditions such as diabetes or kidney disease.
Diabetes and high blood pressure go hand in hand because oftentimes they're related to the foods that you eat and being obese and being sedentary. So a lot of African Americans at a certain age, over age 35, when they develop high blood pressure, you'll find that they also develop diabetes, which is type 2 diabetes.
Some women develop high blood pressure during pregnancy. It usually goes away after the baby is born. But the woman is then at greater risk of developing high blood pressure again later on.
Your blood pressure is slightly elevated. It's about 150 over 90.
Blood pressure is measured with 2 numbers.
There's a top number that medically we call a systolic number, and it's basically when the heart contracts that you generate that particular number. There's a second number called a diastolic, and that occurs when the heart relaxes.
If your systolic pressure is less than 120 and your diastolic pressure is less than 80, you have normal blood pressure. If the top number is between 120 and 139, or your lower number is between 80 and 89, you have prehypertension. A systolic pressure at 140 or above, or a diastolic pressure at or above 90 means you have hypertension. Layden was on the job at the post office one day when he injured his back. That's how he found out he had high blood pressure.
Now, when I went to the hospital, they told me that my pressure was elevated. I said, that's unusual. I've never, because I have physical every year. I was never told that before.
Layden's story emphasizes an important point. You can have high blood pressure and not be aware that anything is wrong.
And that's why high blood pressure is known as the silent killer, because it can be elevated and you can feel just fine.
So you may not feel anything. You may not feel chest pain, shortness of breath, etc., until it becomes too late and you have what's called end organ damage, where the heart gives out, you go into heart failure or you have a heart attack, or where the kidney gives out and you end up on dialysis, or where you have a stroke.
Since there often are no symptoms, you need to have your blood pressure measured on a regular basis. You might also want to have a device to measure your pressure at home between doctor visits. Roy Jefferson put up impressive numbers during his 12 seasons in pro football. 162 regular season games, 451 receptions for 7,539 yards and 52 touchdowns, all measures of his success. Nowadays, he's tracking the numbers that measure his health. Because high blood pressure runs in his family, Roy makes sure he gets a regular checkup. That's something all of us need to do.
You have a life that you'd like to extend, and you just have to make the decision that you're going to do that.
You can take steps right now to protect your overall health. They can also help lower your blood pressure. If you take blood pressure medication, making these changes will help make the medicine work better. Lose weight if you are overweight. Reduce salt, also called sodium, in your food. Salt can build up in the bloodstream, increasing the volume of blood in your body.
The heart works harder at pumping all of this volume, and so the blood pressure goes up. So simply reducing your salt will reduce the workload on the heart, thus reducing the blood pressure. It's very important to keep your salt levels down.
There are other positive steps you can take. Eat at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables daily. Be physically active after talking with your doctor. Quit smoking and avoid other people's smoke.
Smoking has a very direct impact on blood pressure. When you stop smoking, the effect on cardiovascular risk and on blood pressure can be seen within several days or weeks.
That's a long list of things to do, so let's break it down. Your healthcare professional can help you get started. If you have high blood pressure, you might be referred to a cardiologist. That's a doctor who specializes in diseases of the heart and blood vessels. With any healthcare professional you see about your high blood pressure, one of the first conversations could be about your weight.
Hello. So let's start with the biggest bang for the buck. That's generally weight. Weight loss contributes substantially to decreasing blood pressure. Even modest changes in weight can sometimes have a very beneficial effect on blood pressure.
Yvette has been managing high blood pressure for several years. Taking off extra weight has been a big part of her treatment plan. With a steady effort, she's down 50 pounds.
I still ate what I liked, but I reduced the quantity.
Tasty, healthy eating is good for everyone in the family. Roy Jefferson counts on his wife, Candy, to help him make smart choices.
If I go in and there's broccoli and I don't happen to have any broccoli on my plate, what, Jefferson, wait a minute, I don't see anything green on your plate. So she's real good about watching out for what I eat.
I do encourage him to eat his vegetables because they really are important to us.
Here's what the American Heart Association recommends. Balance how much you eat with your physical activity to maintain a healthy body weight. Eat a diet rich in vegetables and fruits. Choose whole grain, high fiber foods. Eat fish at least twice a week. Limit your intake of saturated fat. Use fat-free or low-fat dairy products. Avoid drinks and foods with added sugars. Choose and prepare foods with little or no salt. If you drink alcoholic beverages, do so in moderation. Healthy decisions about food start at the store, and this can be a challenge.
There may be lack of access to foods that are good foods for you. So in certain neighborhoods, there may be foods that are more canned foods, more processed foods. They're higher in sodium. And being higher in sodium, of course, this will lead more towards having high blood pressure.
So if you or someone you care for has high blood pressure, learn to be a label reader.
I look at the labels, always reading the labels, and always trying to be more educated myself about what's going to make me healthy, what's going to be good for my family.
Layden has found that taking extra care at the grocery store can be rewarding for his health and for his wallet.
I read the labels and the coupon. That's why my wife won't go shopping with me. She stays home because I have the labels, I have the coupons, and I spend time. But I save a lot of money.
And Layden knows that how you prepare your food is just as important as what you're eating. His baked fish recipe is healthy and delicious.
So I steam the fish, put fresh herbs, vegetables. It's got celery, garlic, red pepper, green peppers, thyme, and that's it. And this is all fresh vegetables. This is a Jamaican tradition. You eat the fresh fruit, the bananas, potatoes, carrots, all fresh from the garden.
Candy Jefferson is preparing foods in a healthy way too, looking for new ways to cook old favorites.
One of our favorite foods was fried chicken, and I just really stopped fixing fried chicken once a week, and do baked chicken, and do a lot of things like that. Just bake them in the oven instead of fry them. Or if I'm going to fry them, I definitely use the vegetable oil, canola oil, and the olive oil.
Along with choosing foods wisely and preparing them well, you also need to consider how much you eat.
Americans tend to like to eat large portions. And of course, bigger portions means bigger calories. When you eat more calories, it retains, it stays on your body. That leads to, weight gain. That leads to increased blood pressure, and here starts the problem.
If we talk about a piece of meat, we usually suggest that the size of that meat should be no larger than the size of the palm of your hand. And oftentimes when you go to restaurants or other places, remember you get about 3 times that size.
One way to make sure you're not eating too much is to plan ahead. Marilyn has a long commute to work. Before she leaves each morning, she prepares all the food she'll need for that day.
When I leave her in the morning time, I pack a banana, I pack an apple, and that has had a big change because I usually have a big bowl of candy on my desk.
Slowly and steadily, Marilyn is losing the extra weight she carries. She finds she now has more energy for her work, for her calling as a minister, and for enjoying her grandchildren.
I want to be here for my granddaughter. I want to be here for my grandson. I want to live a long life. And that makes me think about really keeping healthy, looking after myself.
For Roy Jefferson, exercise is second nature. That's one reason he's still close to the same weight he carried on the football field.
I'd rather be 15 pounds less than I am now at least, but there's no way that I'm going to get really big because my ego couldn't handle it.
Exercise is one of the best things you can do to improve both your body and your mind. It helps control your blood pressure and may improve your cholesterol levels and blood sugar levels too. Plus, exercise boosts oxygen to your brain and body and can even improve your mood.
Exercise helps in many ways, emotionally, physically, and it helps the heart as well.
I tell my patients, even if they don't lose weight, if they stay at the same weight, that if you exercise, you're much better off than the person who doesn't. All right, now let me just take a listen to you.
If you do not exercise regularly, the first step is a trip to the doctor to find out what you can safely do.
Once you're clear and you have no limitations in terms of physical limitations, then it's best to start with aerobic exercises. So walking, simply walking at a great pace, 30 minutes 3 times a week, ballroom dancing, if you would like, swimming, biking. These are all great, ways of exercising. A lot of people are unable to exercise because of arthritis or pain or obesity. If you're not someone who can walk, if you're sitting down looking at the TV, then do stretches. Move your arms, move your legs. Try to move your body instead of sitting passively, for extended periods of time. Just a little bit of exercise goes a long way.
Marilyn is walking regularly, building up her strength. Her days are busy with her family at home and running a facility for the disabled. But her co-workers are supporting her effort to get healthy.
My co-workers make sure that we walk. We take out time during the day. So we walk down from my job to the high school, and we'll walk a little bit on the track, and then we'll come back.
And to help her stay on track, Marilyn is getting regular encouragement from her doctor.
So he said that once you see yourself losing the weight, you'll be able to walk a longer distance, and it won't bother you as much.
Weight loss, watching alcohol intake, don't smoke, exercise, the low-salt diet, all are major contributors to lowering cardiovascular risk and lowering blood pressure. Patients should know that whatever you do, whether you're on medicine or not, that's the cornerstone, that you start with that and then you build on that.
Layden has family to care for, including his mother and aunt. He's also very involved at his church.
I have like 2 or 3 different positions. I'm president of the trustee board. I'm the treasurer for the church funds. I am the vice president on the usher board. I'm the head deacon in the church.
Building spiritual connections is good for your heart, literally.
There are certain studies that have shown that if you're spiritually active, you live on average 14 years longer than someone who's not spiritually active. What do I believe about that? Being spiritually active provides a relaxation, provides a peace of mind, provides a camaraderie, a family that they can talk to, and a time that they can let their hair down, so to speak. I think that that's why the spiritual community is so important to patients in helping them with their blood pressures.
As for Candy and Roy, church is where they found each other.
I met him at choir practice. I looked out the window and saw him coming, and I was so impressed. You know, his size, he was big, you know, was good looking, and he came in and was introduced to everybody at choir practice.
Roy also replenishes his spirit with community service. He has always taken his position as role model seriously. When he was with the Washington Redskins, he founded a learning center for local kids. Throughout his career as a broadcaster and businessman, he has been involved with charities and service organizations. Even with lifestyle changes, managing your blood pressure might require medicine. Today's blood pressure medicines can safely help most people reach blood pressure goals. Setting those goals and developing a treatment plan is something you need to do in partnership with your healthcare professional.
Patients should listen to what the doctor says, take the medication that's recommended and how it's in the way that it's prescribed.
It's important to recognize that it's really a team approach. Involves the patient, the physician, and often even a nurse or a support person as an educator to facilitate that process.
When you go to the doctor, bring a list of everything else you're taking, even medicines you take without a prescription. They could have an effect on your blood pressure or interact with your blood pressure medication. Bring your questions too. You might ask your doctor about your medication options. Some medicines have been found to provide more benefits for Black people than people of other races. Good communication with your healthcare professional will help you both find the medication and treatment plan that's best for you.
It's usually not something that happens overnight, and I tell my patients that we're going to work on this for several weeks, maybe months, and we'll work together to figure out what works.
Communication is really important because when you have a communication with your doctor, you feel good about it because he's helping me to keep healthy, to help me to be here to see my grandchildren grow, you know, and become grown children, you know. So when I walk in that door and I say, Dr. Williams, I want to know about my blood pressure. I want to know what I can do to bring it down. I want to know what I can do to be healthy. So asking him that and him feeding me back the information, that makes me feel good.
Layden still has problems with his back, so he takes medicine for that as well as pills to help control his blood pressure. Over the years, he has developed a way of making sure he takes his medicine every day.
In the morning when I get up, that's part of my routine. I have usually in the mornings I have a tea and toast and take my meds and then go about my daily business. I've been on pills since '87, so it's become kind of routine for me now. I know what to do, when to do.
Blood pressure medicines work in many different ways. They might have side effects, so you need to feel comfortable discussing how your medications are making you feel. Don't let side effects keep you from taking medication you need.
So very important not to just stop cold turkey. If you feel that there's a side effect, call the doctor or call your healthcare provider and explain and let them give you an alternative.
Be sure you know the names and doses of your medicines and how to take them. Take your medicines exactly as your doctor directs. Don't skip days or cut pills in half. Even if you feel great, don't stop. The medicine is keeping you healthy.
Every morning when I go in my bathroom, my medicine is right under my top shelf, and the first thing I do is take my medication, and I make sure I do that every single day.
Women taking blood pressure medicines who become pregnant or are planning to become pregnant should tell the doctor right away. The doctor can suggest medicines that will be safe for both the mother and the baby. Roy Lee Jefferson was a star even in college at the University of Utah. He joined the Steelers before graduating, but he went back to school in the off-season to get his diploma because of his mom.
My mom was the one that, there's no way that I could have not have gotten my degree. It was a definite. I had to go back and do it because I knew that would make her happy.
Roy's mother lived a long life despite having high blood pressure. But Marilyn's mother was still young when the end came suddenly.
I get teary-eyed when I think about my mother because I never really had a chance to say goodbye to her.
Marilyn's story is all too common in the Black community. It's time for a new chapter. Each one of us has the power to get high blood pressure under control. We can choose to eat a healthy diet and follow a regular exercise program. We can get our blood pressure checked regularly and know our numbers. Remember, you can't tell you have high blood pressure by how you're feeling. You have to get it checked.
So it's very important to know earlier on that this is preventable, it's treatable, and the patient themselves should be a very active participant in their own care.
And it's for your own good. It's just for your health. So if you don't love yourself, who's going to love you?
Make connections that nourish your spirit. Family, friends, church, co-workers, all are part of the community we build for ourselves. And showing the people you love how to lead a healthy life empowers them as well.
If someone has high blood pressure in a family, their example can really, I think, inspire or encourage the rest of the family. What they do can profoundly affect other members of that family and the choices that they may make as well.
Eat healthy, exercise, and do all the things that your doctors say that you need to do.
Take charge of your high blood pressure. It's something you can do for yourself and for the people you love.
Your life is valuable to you and your children and your friends. I mean, you're not in this life alone.